For a sense of what the Petito family of Blue Point has endured these past 12 months, it's necessary to go back just over a year to when they were just like any other average family on Long Island. All that changed on or around September 11, 2021. After friends and parents of 22-year-old Gabby Petito posted on Facebook that she was missing somewhere out west, a whirlwind was unleashed, and by the time Petito's remains were discovered in Bridger-Teton National Forest just over a week later, on September 19th, her tragedy dominated headlines, TV news, and the internet. To date, the hashtag Gabby Petito has been viewed nearly 1 billion times. Meanwhile, Petito's fiancé, Brian Laundrie, who later drove the couple's van back from Wyoming to his parents' home in Florida after strangling Petito, died from a self-inflicted gunshot. His remains were discovered October 20th. An undated handout photo made available by the Northport Police Department in Northport, Florida, shows Brian Christopher Laundrie, L., and his fiancée Gabrielle'Gabby Petito, issued September 25, 2021. Credit: Northport Police Department handout /EPAEFE/Shutterstock /Northport Police Department handout /EPAEFE/Shutterstock. Late last year, with the tabloid and social media storm raging around them, the Petitos launched a foundation in their daughter's name to raise awareness of domestic violence. They later filed 2 separate lawsuits, one against the Moab, Utah police, related to an August 12, 2021 encounter with Petito and Laundrie. The other was against Laundrie's parents. And now, in the midst of all this, comes the Lifetime movie. A fast turnaround, even by Lifetime standards, the Gabby Petito Story, which will air on October 1st at 8 p.m., has raised its own set of difficult questions, beginning with the most obvious: how soon is too soon? Thora Birch, the movie's director, said in a recent phone interview that after initial contact with family members earlier this year, there has been radio silence. According to some media reports, Nicole Schmidt, Gabby's mother, who moved from Blue Point to Florida at some point over the past year, has disavowed the movie. But in an email to Newsday, she denied ever even acknowledging it. Please know that we don't have any comment pertaining to the movie. The family's Florida-based attorney, Patrick Riley, also said via email that he would have no comment. Skylar Samuels as Gabby Petito and Evan Hall as Brian Laundrie in Lifetime's The Gabby Petito Story. True crime has been a source of material since the early days of mass entertainment, and still is, from Dateline to the Law and Order franchise, while Long Island-based crime stories have been particularly well represented, from the infamous Amy Fisher trilogy, 3 separate movies on ABC, CBS, and NBC, of the early 90s to 2 more recent ones on the Gilgo Beach murders. Nevertheless, what makes this particular movie so controversial is that timing. It arrives just past the 1-year anniversary of Petito's disappearance, while the family is still coping with the aftermath of a tragedy that remains fresh and, in some ways, is still ongoing. The idea of too soon and too raw is a real question, says Jonathan Kuntz, professor of American film history at UCLA. That's also what creates the fascination to a large degree. Oftentimes we as viewers are interested in mysteries that haven't been completely resolved to our satisfaction, but they also inevitably involve fictionalization, filling in what we don't know. Yet here you've got the family of the victim, and who are still obviously very distraught, and out comes the movie. Birch, a childhood actor and prominent big screen star of the 90s, American Beauty, who also plays Nicole Schmidt in the movie, says, "I've heard the criticism too soon before, and I understand that to an extent, but my response is also a little bit of confusion because I'm wondering, should we even tell her story? If we use this as a cautionary tale, isn't that more of a benefit?" While the Gabby Petito story is almost entirely based on news stories and other information in the public domain, liberties were taken in a few scenes, most notably the final one where the events leading up to Petito's murder in a remote Wyoming campground are recreated. It's both a jarring and visceral reminder of why the true crime film genre has been controversial for so long. Producers can't possibly know what happens in the last, terrible moment of their subject's life. But beyond this, the Gabby Petito story is largely dutiful and respectful, an exercise in paint-by-the-numbers filmmaking that otherwise tries to cast Petitos as that cautionary tale. There is also a surreal quality here, which is both unintended and inescapable. As the movie opens, it flashes back to the bucolic South Shore community of Blue Point circa 2019, with Petito, played by Skylar Samuels, who appeared in Fox's 2017 superhero series, The Gift, and Laundry, TV newcomer Evan Hall, meeting up at a backyard party. "You totally ghosted me since high school," she playfully says, then tells him, "I've been thinking about social media and being an influencer, but who knows what the future holds." Laundry, "I know what my future holds, spending as much time as I possibly can around you." The movie skirts any material that has any bearing on the civil suit the Petitos have filed against the Laundries, which broadly revolves around the questions of what they knew of the whereabouts of their son, and when they knew it. It's there the first signs of trouble arise. Jealous and possessive, Laundry tries to keep Petito from seeing her friends, including her only one, Rose, Monica Moore Smith, who tries to tell her that Laundry's behavior is problematic. She calls him the little bummer boy. Instead, Petito accepts his marriage proposal and, as the pandemic is winding down, both buy a van and leave for a cross-country trip. As they go from campground to campground, Petito crafts videos for her YouTube channel, Van Life, while Laundry is dismissive of her efforts. Soon enough, she too begins to have doubts about the relationship. Viewers see a happy and carefree Petito in the YouTube posts, but glowering off camera. Northport, Florida, September 16th, Tara Petito, Elle, and Joe Petito react while the city of Northport Chief of Police Todd Garrison speaks during a news conference for their missing daughter Gabby Petito on September 16, 2021 in Northport, Florida. Gabby Petito went missing while on a cross-country trip with her boyfriend Brian Laundrie and has not been seen or heard from since late August. Police said no criminality is suspected at this time, but her fiancé, Brian Laundrie, has refused to speak with law enforcement. Laundrie has been identified as a person of interest, but investigators are solely focused on finding Petito. The heart of the Gabby Petito story is what's now widely known as the Utah body cam video, an hour and 17 minutes long. It was recorded on August 12, then released by the Moab police a month later. Viewed 16 million times so far, the video has also been studied by domestic violence experts for clues about Laundrie's abuse of Petito, and whether the police read those properly. Like the video, the movie shows they had been fighting before they were stopped by the police on a lonely highway outside the Utah town. Soon, several squad cars arrive, and Laundrie and Petito are separated. As Laundrie laughs nervously, one officer indicates that he may have been the victim of domestic violence. While convulsively sobbing, Petito admits that she may have struck him first. Both are later separated as part of a 24-hour no-contact order. In the real-life tragedy, as in the movie, Petito would be murdered roughly 2 weeks later. Launched in 1990, the so-called Lifetime movie, there have been hundreds over the years, has undergone numerous changes. Almost always ripped from the headlines, they started off as a quickie ratings grab gimmick, then, as ratings grew, became a profit engine. The network plowed money back into the films along with a sense of purpose. They were tabloid-y, but tabloid movies with a heart and a sense of mission, about teens in crisis or women in peril. There have been at least 40 with domestic violence themes over the years. Then, starting in the 2000s, the network saw respectability, with films about important subjects that broached or reflected national conversations. Birch herself starred in a pair of those, including 2003's Homeless to Harvard, the Liz Murray story, about a teen who had been homeless for years before she got into the Ivy League school. It is that spirit, Lifetime insists, that it brought to the Gabby Petito story. Sebastian Duncan, the network's vice president of programming, said in a recent phone interview that he started thinking about a true-life movie based on Petito's story a year ago because we were all captivated by the frenzy around it. As someone who does a lot of true crime / ripped from the headlines, I'm very attuned to which stories grab the national spotlight, but there was something about the Gabby that we all saw on her social media posts, where she was so pure and happy, and so free and full of potential. We felt like we could know her even though we didn't. Right away people were connected with this young woman and have remained invested with her all this time. A tearful Nicole Schmidt, the mother of Gabrielle'Gabby Petito, is comforted by her husband Jim Schmidt during a news conference on September 28, 2021, in Bohemia, New York. Is the movie too soon, however? For many, they haven't stopped thinking about this. And yes, he's also heard that rap that this is exploiting her story, tell that to CNN that ran wall-to-wall stories over 2 weeks last September, or that it ignores the plight of hundreds of other women, often indigenous or African American, who also go missing every year. We're deep in the development of a number of movies about non-white girls who have disappeared. But Gabby has come to represent something, and when we make these movies, we are making them because we want to shine a light on an issue, Dungan says. This really, ultimately, is about the message. If you feel in your gut that there's something wrong in a relationship, or if family and friends are telling you there is, then listen to your gut. That's really the big lesson. Violence against women is a huge problem, and it only gets worse when people ignore the signs. Laura Richards, a criminal behavior analyst formerly with the New Scotland Yard and podcaster, her podcast, Crime Analyst, is devoted to the Petito case, said in a recent interview that I want to honor her in my own way so that we can reduce the number of homicides, where it's not 4 to 5 women killed every day, as the Violence Policy Center has determined. But can a ripped from the headlines quickie Lifetime movie accomplish a task like that? The Lifetime movie is important if it gives out good information, and the more you can educate people, even as we entertain, it could save a life. I also know her family feels very strongly about this. Indeed, that may be the family's only consolation.